Hey everyone, it's Andy here, and this video, always one of my favorite things to do. Golden Demon has just finished, and I always like to talk about my entry and my thoughts. And we post pictures on Instagram when it's done and whatever, but it's nice to take the time and just talk to you guys about why I did what I did for a bit, and just show you a bit more behind the entry. So here it is. It is a Jade Wizard, which is an Empire wizard, so old world, and it's with a forest spirit. So you might think it's a little bit out there and not really recognize it, but it's basically inspired from Darkwater, which is the new Warhammer quest. And I really liked the idea of this kind of wizard with the familiar, but I wanted to do something more. Originally, I wanted to do a huge griffin. I just like the composition or the trope where there's a big animal or monster and a figure is not riding it. They're separate, and it won't be the last time you see me do this kind of build. I don't know why I like it so much. I think it looks better than having the rider on it for some reason, but that's just me. I basically failed making a griffin that I liked, but I really liked the pose of this figure. The main model I used to convert it was this AdeptiCon model, and that just gave me the pose that I needed. And I basically went through a bunch of research and looked at some inspiration. And when I was looking at this, the Jade Wizard, I found some really cool artworks, and you can see this one really shows what I ended up with. And the AdeptiCon model gave me the pose I wanted from that other artwork with the hand moving forward and the glow and everything. But there were some key little bits that also really helped. I looked into the lore and really read into it to make sure it's accurate, especially as I think, it was going to be a little bit out there and maybe not clear to a lot of people what it was. But there's small things like bare feet, which they, connect to the ground. They're basically druids. And this connection was fantastic because, it was already barefooted with the AdeptiCon model. So, it was just kind of meant to be, I guess. I used a lot of parts from the Jade Wizard itself and made sure the sickle was there again, just to make it really clear and stick to the lore. This was the Jade Wizard. If you're interested in seeing the full creation process, all the painting, all the building process, that's all over on the Patreon. I have to give a big shout out to everyone on Patreon that supports me there because basically they really allow me to go crazy and explore these weird projects. Without them, then I'd probably have to just pick more models from the box and I wouldn't have time to, just deep dive and do these crazy builds, I guess. So once I was clear on doing a Jade Wizard and I was happy that I could make it fit the lore, it was down to basically, doing a forest spirit. And this one comes with a little fox. And I thought, why can't I do a huge wolf or something like that? I looked through a lot of fantasy art, things like Magic the Gathering, and it really got me inspired to kind of follow this forest wolf trope. I really, really like it. It's good fun, I think. And essentially, I spent forever just resculpting it. I used the wolf from the Orcs and Goblins. I don't know what it's called. Big Chomp Sun Eater or something ridiculous. And then I used the head from one of the vampire wolves because I thought that was a little cooler looking. And while I was doing other projects in the background, doing other content for Patreon, I was just chipping away at this build. And I used a lot of putty, including the base, which was almost all putty in the end, but there's no trees that I needed or no trees that I could use from the Warhammer range or anything, and I ended up with this. I worked really hard on the composition, trying to frame it with the trees, trying to make it from front on but also the side, and just keep it really tight. I've done dioramas in the past where I've had way too much dead space, and this was just about keeping it really, really compact. And I know it's not a big diorama. I did look and read the rules if it could go into Old World, but unfortunately Old World is for single figures or for units, and this is, maybe you could say it's a unit of 2, but it just felt right for diorama. It's kind of the only category it could fit into. And so, yeah, I was going to have to try and do a really good job to stand up to all the big dioramas that I knew would be there. I've slowly been building my confidence in my converting and things like that. And I think it's part of the hobby I enjoy the most. I love coming up with unique models and trying to compose them to, just give really pleasant looking figures, I guess. And it gives me more satisfaction to do something unique. I did Fuegan straight out of the box from the last Golden Demon, and I still enjoy just painting figures like this. But as time goes on, I like to create things like this. For the painting, I didn't do any airbrushing or anything like that. I just primed it with black and white and got stuck into the painting. And the painting was a lot easier than the building. I am just learning and trying to improve my sculpting. And obviously I've still got a lot to learn with painting as well. But I just felt more confident with this step. And I just took my time trying to be as careful as I could. And one thing I'm trying to do with my dioramas is paint them as good as I can, a single figure or something like that. Often the level of painting in the single figure categories like 40k and Age of Sigmar can be higher than some of the other ones. But what I'm trying to do is dioramas where I really paint the figures as good as I could, as if it was going to be in a single figure category. Painting of the wizard went really well. I just tried to vary my techniques, so some of the cloak was stippled and textured, other parts were just smooth, and I tried to balance the colors, using different temperatures of green, warm ones, cool ones, and I just really tried to think about harmonizing the palette and, but making things stand out. And I really enjoyed this. Painting the figure was absolutely great. I did get a little stuck painting the wolf, and I started out painting it a really cool kind of grey, a bluish tone, and I still think I could have got away with painting it like this in white or something, but it just wasn't giving me, I don't know, it felt a little bit safe, a little bit boring, and when I looked at it painted, it just didn't excite me. I also felt that I was a little reserved when it came to the trees kind of growing out from the wolf. So I completely had finished the wolf, it was ready to go, and I made a bit of a bold decision to remove all the paint and basically add all of these extra vines. But I hope you'll agree, maybe it's not for everyone, I think it gives it way more identity. And as soon as I added these vines, I was just happier, and that's what it's all about, you being happy with what you're creating. And this piece I definitely wasn't doing to please the judges. A lot of my friends they weren't even joking, I don't think either. They were asking, do you think you're going to get disqualified? Is this even a Warhammer figure? Blah, blah, blah. And, basically I'm trying to get my taste in of the other fantasy things that I like, but I wanted to keep it Warhammer. So I was confident that I was within the bounds of the law, and I wouldn't get disqualified. But basically I wasn't doing this to win or anything like that. This is very much for me. And as soon as I added these vines, these extra ones, I just thought this is cooler now. And the same with the paint job. I looked back at the Jade Wizard from Warhammer, and I actually really like that paint job where it's, basically yellow with the dark green, and I decided to lean into this. The studio paint job of the Wizard, they've gone for those cold jades for the Jade Wizard, and I went for the earthy greens, the more natural ones, based on some other artworks like this one from Adrian Smith for the Wizard. So I thought I'll lean into the jade and I will do the wolf in this kind of green. And I thought this would be balanced as well because we have this much colder green against the warm ones of the moss at the base and all the other greens in the Wizard. So just trying to balance and get this right was definitely challenging, but I think I did something cool in the end. I hope you like this diorama as well. As I said, this is a very personal piece. I've got specific tastes and things that I like, and this was just very much a me piece. And I think a few people mentioned that I keep doing these forest bases, but it is just what I love, and I think that's what you got to do when it comes to painting figures for competitions, it comes up all the time. What should I paint for a competition? And there's no strategy. It should just be what you love, what you really care about. And it won't be the last forest base from me. It won't be the last animal with a figure stood next to it. But I do think it's going to be quite a long time until I enter my next Golden Demon. So you won't see me entering in the next few, the next couple at least. And I don't know when I'll be back, but I feel really motivated to do bigger and better things, really. I've slowly been trying to improve my painting and my converting, and I feel more creative than ever. I think my ideas are bigger and bolder, and I just want to push myself. And I think to push myself and to take myself to another level or something like that, or maybe that's a bit cheesy, maybe to just do something that I'm more satisfied with, I need to spend longer on it. There's no doubt that I rushed this in the end, and I feel lucky to have got it done on time and get a pretty good result. But I want to just go a little bit slower and take my time so it's more enjoyable in the process. I really push myself down to the wire to get it done, and that's just not the way to do it to get the best results. And I mean the results in the painting rather than results in the competition. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see the full process, there's going to be at least 5 videos on this project on Patreon, so you'll really get to see me paint everything and deep dive into my thoughts. But I always like to just talk about the project here on YouTube. It's nice to communicate with you guys and just talk a little bit longer than a caption on Instagram. So let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you like it, and I will see you for the next project sometime in the future.